Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the TTT Stream podcast. It's your go-to podcast for everything in the trucking world. I'm Chris Lorefice. I'm the new Chief Business Officer at trucktractortrailer.com. And joining me today is Ben Tschirgi. He is the mad sales scientist from scienceofsales.io. He's joining us today to talk a little bit about what he does and some of his philosophies around growing your sales and prospecting, which I think is not just huge in the trucking industry, really, but everywhere. Because I just think lately there are so many different mediums out there to communicate with people that I think a lot of business owners get a little bit lost on where to go and how to make their sales teams effective. So, Ben, do you want to just give a quick intro about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for having me on, Chris. Always happy to jump in and chat about logistics, sales. I found in the short time that I've launched Science of Sales that I can't quite escape logistics. For better or for worse, I'm stuck in this world for life. So that's totally cool. So my name is Ben Tschirgi. I've been in logistics in sales for about a little over a decade now. I started as a cradle to grave sales rep back in 2013 for a company called Cowan Systems. Cowan is a asset-based trucking company. And really, this was my first job out of college. I went to school as a theater kid and as a film nerd, and that path blew up in flames. So I, kind of stumbled into logistics by mistake, fell in love with it immediately, fell in love with sales too, and really just grew my own book of business, got an opportunity to become a manager at a sales office with Cowan, grew that office, and then had a short period of time was a VP of sales at Trucker Tools on the freight tech side, and then had an opportunity to come back to Cowan as their VP of sales overseeing their sales team. And then late last year in 2024, Cowan sold to Schneider National. And so got to be a part of that transition, which was really cool. Schneider people are awesome. And then I finally, I've been kind of dreaming about it and wanting to do it for a while, jump out on my own and do my own thing. So I launched Science of Sales in, I think, February, March. And so it's been a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of work and a whole lot of fun. So it's going really well.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common, right? In the startup space, TTT has only been around for a few years, and you start each day never knowing exactly what the day is going to bring. It's going to be hard work, but it is also a lot of fun. I have to tell you, though, I do see the theater background now. I'm getting it, right? Because I've watched a lot of your videos online that you've posted on TikTok or LinkedIn, and I'm like, okay. Because they're pretty crazy sometimes, but they're also really well done. So I guess I can see that coming through there.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I was really interested in trying to learn social media because I was horrible at social media. And I didn't know anything about it. I'm really not on Facebook, Instagram, really anything. So or LinkedIn at the time. I mean, I had a LinkedIn account, but I wasn't logging in. So I was just really interested in okay, how does this platform work? What are some crazy? I always like to try to just approach things with just throwing lots of crazy ideas at the wall and kind of seeing what sticks and then going with it. Doing freight music videos was one of those crazy ideas that I just kind of went for. Not sure why. I don't know really what was going through my mind other than it would be fun to try and let's see what happens.
It is definitely unique in the freight and logistics space. I don't think there's too many people out there doing covers of Backstreet Boys songs to talk about freight and logistics.
Yeah,
that was good stuff.
And ultimately at the end of the day, it was pretty good. It worked for recruiting. It helped a little bit. And for carrier sales, I was really surprised. Really, the most of the leads that I would get from doing freight music videos were carriers, and at the time, drayage carriers. So it was really good on that side. I probably got 2 or 3 shipper leads from doing
okay.
Doing freight music video parodies. It's pretty tough to, there's when you're a shipper and you've got 10 or 15 people a day banging down your door, it's pretty tough to do anything to drive some inbound traffic. But it was, worth a shot. And on the carrier side, it did something, but mostly it was just to kind of build a network and connect with people in a different way.
Oh yeah, definitely. I certainly, and it was entertaining too. It was fun. It was fun to watch. But part of the reason why I wanted to sit down with you today was because I came into Truck Tractor Trailer about 2 months ago as a chief business officer, and part of my responsibility is around driving revenue for a company that is growing really quickly, but as you probably know, never quite fast enough. And I'm starting to look into sales and sales productivity, and I'm seeing all this data out there, but I'm really not sure if our own sales team has all the tools they need to use their time really wisely, going out and getting to not just getting to prospects, but getting to the right ones that are in the buying cycle that fit our customer profile. So one reason I wanted to talk to you was because with my background, which is a lot of supply chain and logistics, I feel like, okay, there's got to be some better ways out there. So after college and then after Cowan and Truck Tools, you moved on to start your own business here in Science of Sales. And that's really what I wanted to talk about. What is Science of Sales about, and how can it help folks that are watching, that are trying to grow their businesses?
Yeah, totally. And I think it's like the recurring problem out there for everybody is you always need to grow faster, you need to grow smarter, and you need to do more with less. It sounds great and everybody's trying to do it. And there's like a billion different gurus out there that are like, I've got the magic playbook here, and all you have to do is follow steps A, B, C, D, and boom, there you go. What I really wanted to do with Science of Sales, what I really believe in is really I love getting in the weeds and really testing a lot of different strategies and then optimizing, finding what works. I'm a big believer in, you don't A/B test something. You A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P test it. You really test a lot of different messaging, subject lines, all that kind of different stuff, whether it's cold email, cold calling, or you're not even doing cold outreach. It could be ads, it could be, whatever you're doing to drive interest and engagement. But so really what I wanted to do with Science of Sales, I didn't want to do selling training or selling necessarily a singular product. I really wanted to start out as a cold outreach agency and just work and partner with companies and really help companies grow. Right now, I'm currently focused on freight tech companies, freight forwarders. Those are people that I really think that I can help. I also have some random companies in there in legal recruiting, some different spaces as well that are, different industries. But what I've learned in the short time that I've been doing this, and this was true in whether I was at Trucker Tools or with Cowan, was you really have to understand the business completely before you can really do anything. And I think a lot of sales gurus out there have this kind of broad approach where it's, okay, hey, I've got the secret, I've got the magic formula here. All you have to do is I'm going to give it to you and it's going to be done. But sales and cold outreach, especially today with so many things constantly changing, new tools coming out, it's a lot of getting in the weeds and testing things on a really small scale. And before you say, okay, we've found what's working here, let's throw some gasoline on the fire and grow. So in short, really cold outreach agency, partnering with some select companies to help them dominate their space. And then along the way, I really want to develop some tools that are a little bit more broad that we can release for sales reps and for everybody to use. But that's down the road.
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like you definitely want to work with someone that knows your business. If you're going to, go ahead. If you're going to work with somebody and you're going to pay them to help you with growing sales, you want to work with a trusted partner.
Yeah. I think you have to. I mean, I think there's a lot of really smart people out there that know a lot about sales or lead funnels or what's the best cold outreach tech stack that you can possibly have. And that stuff is helpful. It's not that it's not helpful, but I think usually to really grow at the pace that most companies want to grow and to be as efficient as possible, you really have to get in there and get into the weeds, because that's what's that's what is the magic formula and is success. It's that like grunt work grind that, that nobody wants to do. Nobody wants to test cold email copy 30 different ways and then get in there and really refine it, or test, okay, we need to integrate with OpenAI in combination with Clay, in combination with, whatever, and find the exact tech stack that works for a specific company. Like most people, they just want to plug in what they've already done before, copy, paste, and boom, go. So I'm really trying to throw out everything that I thought I knew and have done in the past and really start from scratch and build a system that's independent for each partner that I work with.
Okay. So take us through like what that looks like. If someone in, say, freight tech or freight forwarder wants to come work with you, what does that look like? How is it specific like for this industry?
Yeah. So what I first take a look at is, okay, like what's your ideal customer profile? Like, let me really understand who that is. Like, who are you working with? What kind of job titles? What kind of companies? What kind of needs do they have? Are they shipping freight from Italy? Are they moving freight from China? Like, are they people that are having issues navigating tariffs right now? Like, what kind of people are you after? And then it's really, understanding, okay, like messaging, let's take a look at, what messaging has worked for you. And then let's really work to create and build a system where every single message that goes out is completely personalized for that ideal prospect profile, and building that to scale. So instead of, okay, we're going to send 10 really amazing emails today, I want to take that same approach and say, we're going to send like 10,000 amazing emails today that are the best possible email that we could possibly send this prospect. So how do we do that at scale? But you have to start small to get to that point first. We want to start with, okay, how do we send 10 amazing emails? Okay, if we can do that, then we can build the email infrastructure to create domains, mailboxes, and whether that's Google Workspace, Microsoft, or building a private email infrastructure from scratch, we're going to figure out what we need to do and make it happen. But there's always a path to get to that scale. It's just finding that road is different for everybody. And that can be a little scary, I think, for some people, is not knowing that, like, okay, we already have a proven blueprint. Like, we do, we just haven't found it yet.
And I'm guessing here, like you're doing a lot of maybe all of the heavy lifting, right? On the tech side of things, right? You've got to learn about the business from the people that are in it, the client you're working with. And then you really put together kind of a unique model for that business, find the right customers, and then automate a lot of the communications.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So everybody's going to use our science of sales laboratory platform that we have, that is that cold outreach machine. And I'm really excited about what we've got working on. Lots of different omni-channel kind of tools and tricks and gadgets that we've got that we're working on. But at the end of the day, yeah, we're doing all the work for our clients. So I have some clients that like to be super involved, and then I have some clients that are like, best, just go for it. And so that just means, either way, we're going to get in the weeds, whether we're collaborating or I'm just kind of getting in there and with my team, and we're figuring it out.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's similar. We're similar at TTT because we have our TTT Power consulting business and marketing services that we do for different clients. And you're right, there's some clients that want to have a meeting every week, and we're happy to do that and share the info and partner with them. And then there's some clients that say, look, here's what we want. Take it, come back to us when it's ready, and we'll launch it. So it sounds like you can do either of those depending on the customer.
Yeah, and it's probably similar to you guys, where you have a bit of, I would say like economy of scale. Even though I'm a super small startup, like we already have a lot of the email infrastructure. You probably have, I think maybe you have some of the social media like infrastructure and like knowledge and blueprint already there. So it's just learning a little bit more about the business and really getting in there and figuring out how to take that and plug it in a unique way that'll work for that specific client.
Okay, yeah, because I'm thinking of us. We have a community that's over 250,000 unique users across all different sorts of platforms. But I'm not sure that we have a good way to reach out individually to all those different kinds of potential clients because there's such a diversity in the community that we have, right? It's tough to find a message that will work for each one of them. That's probably where, like, for example, where we could use some help.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And you probably, along the way, whether it's intentional or not, you're collecting a lot of data points on those 250,000, different people in your community. And so if you can take all of that and then, put that in the machine where you're saying, okay, now we know the correct messaging for each single person, that's certainly a good goal to have.
You mentioned that it's really important to know the business that you're going to be serving, but talking about the trucking and logistics industry, is the science the same for this industry versus all sorts of other industries, or is there some uniqueness to this industry that it needs to be understood?
Oh, there's definitely some uniqueness to this industry, I think everybody's seen that in one way or another with whether it's different freight tech that comes in, thinking they've got this, industry changing technology, but it's all the people that are behind it didn't come from the logistics space, or it's a new kind of freight broker, new kind of carrier, new kind of whatever. We've seen it, a lot of those launch and fail. So yeah, this industry is very, very unique. There is definitely some weird science to it, but there are some underlying principles, I think, that are applicable to other industries. And I'm trying to develop those. Launching into this, I didn't really know, and I still am figuring out, okay, what are the right industries for me to get into? I think for me, where I'm really trying to, over the last couple of months, and what I've really focused on my lane is staying really strictly true to cold email. And so it's really trying to I want to be the best that I can possibly be in the cold email space, and then really find partners that are really trying to build cold email machines where you can, that are interested in really sending really quality emails at scale at that, whether that's 10,000 emails a day or 100,000 emails a day, whatever the case.
Okay, so cold email focused, right? Not so much some of the other, like you're not doing traditional phone calls or things like that. You're not working really in that space. It's more on the cold email outreach.
Yeah, I've done a lot of cold calling, both myself and managed teams doing it. And I've seen the results that cold calling gets, cold email. Certainly social media. I like social media to develop relationships. Don't like it as far as like the less personalized Autobot connecting. And there's definitely something as far as, some clients like to have an omni-channel approach where you're hitting a prospect on the phone, LinkedIn, email, and you've got this multiple channel system going, which I really like too. But at the end of the day, if you can scale cold email and hit the inbox, you're going to grow like a rocket ship. It's just nothing works as good as cold email, but there's like a big asterisk and but, whereas like you've got to be hitting the inbox. If you build this whole machine and all your emails are going to the spam folder, you're going to be just lighting a bunch of money on fire. So it's a really tricky process to get right, but it's also a really easy process to just jump into and do. A lot of tools out there that can get you going for pretty cheap.
Yeah, so you're going to help us navigate through just all the noise that's out there. It's interesting, if you actually Google like science of sales, so like you had said earlier, there's so many different people that come up that promise they have the answer, but it sounds like what you've got is actually pretty focused and backed by data.
Yeah, I would say that I definitely don't have the answer. and
Really? Okay.
I try to approach everything as waking up each day, trying to see what's the latest going on in cold email, cold outreach, like, cause things are changing like so fast. And like what worked a year ago or 3 months ago could be totally different. Microsoft, Google changed their algorithm, or different spam protection changes how they categorize and label spam email. Like you have to be on top of that. So try to approach it like reminding myself each day, like I don't know the answer. I'm going to test, and I'm going to keep testing every day and making sure that what we're doing is working. There's a lot of really cool tools out there now where you can do these different inbox tests to see, okay, let me test my messaging, let me test my domains and mailboxes to see what's going to hit the inbox and what's going to hit the spam folder, and you can run that right alongside your campaigns. So that's something I like to do too. But yeah, I try to remind myself I definitely don't have the answers. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, actually, now that I hear you explain it that way, I think that's the right answer, right? Is that you're just always learning. What
Yeah.
what kind of advice would you have for businesses in the trucking, freight, logistics industries as far as winning a war, let's say, on growth? How would they stand out from other companies, especially because we could be heading into an interesting time, I think, in the business with a lot of change going on in terms of freight volumes. So
Yeah.
what would you recommend?
So my message would be, this has been this has been the worst freight recession, certainly since I've been in the industry in my 10 years, but I don't know if it'll, turn around anytime soon. We shall see. But I would say to everybody, really, ultimately, first is you're not growing fast enough and you're not talking to enough new people each day. Like whatever your growth targets are, you're not talking to enough new people each day to make that happen. So 99% of the time. So really it's okay. What are our growth goals? And what's actually the realistic number of new prospects and new people, new connections, whether it's shippers, carriers, or brokers that we need to be talking to every day to make that happen. But I guarantee for 99% of the people out there, it's not enough. So then, okay, how do we get there? Traditional way in freight and logistics is you just hire a bunch of people, and usually it's a bunch of people out of college, and you just throw them in there and you try to make it happen. And that's great if you've got the money, if you're publicly traded or you're privately held and you just have a lot of money that you can just throw on a problem. But it's not so great if you're either not profitable or you're a small company. And so in that way, you need to leverage tools. And what I would tell people is, whether it's me or somebody else, you're one really clever growth hacker away from getting to that point, but you've got to find the right person. And probably, unfortunately, the bad news is the first 4 or 5 people or agencies that you try, whether it's a W-2 hire and it's a VP of sales or chief revenue officer, or you're hiring an agency, probably aren't going to work. But I would try to get somebody that you trust in the space to make that happen. But the good news is you're only one person, one agency away from getting there. But the most important thing is you have to be talking to enough new people, new prospects every day to make that happen.
All right, good advice. So partner with someone that knows the space, and get with somebody that can help you just talk to more people, because I would agree with that. I don't think, most businesses are probably talking to enough people to grow at the rate they want to grow at, given their success rate, right? And once you find that person, use that automation as much as possible to keep that number of folks you're talking to every day, every week growing, to try to stay ahead.
Yeah. Because you can always get better at closing down the road. And whether that's just consolidating your team and saying, okay, hey, we used to have 10 reps and this was our output, but now we have twice as many or 3 times as many opportunities coming in. We're just going to actually field those with our 3 best closers. And great, our close rate is going to go up without us having to do anything. It's just spend less money and have a smaller, more compact team. So, close rate, I think a lot of people focus on things they should focus on, lowest hanging fruit. What are some prospects that are already here that we can close? And that's all good stuff. But also you just ultimately at the end of the day, you need to get skinnier so that you're funneling all the best leads to your best closers, and you need to talk to more new people every day.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think, it sounds like you'd be a good person to partner with in that space. All right. So, well, Ben, some great advice today. I really appreciate you talking to us. And I think it's been fascinating to hear what's behind Science of Sales. And I hope that those that are listening today, that they will follow you at scienceofsales.io. And also, of course, please subscribe to our Stream podcast. It's your source of information for all things trucking. Ben, thanks again. good luck, and we'll be in touch. We'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thank you. See you later.